previously I was a VP of Bitcoin strategy. In terms of what I did, I like did everything that I could do. It's like
Yeah.
I thought about Bitcoin strategy. I worked with, on thinking about custody. I worked on,
Hmm.
getting our merger done, thinking about creation of the board, investor presentations, like it worked on the insurance, literally everything under the sun. And it became very clear, like there's just a lot to do. Like with all of these treasury companies, there's a lot to do. Like you need a really big team. And I was recently promoted to the chief risk officer. So uh, one of the things that I'm in charge of is managing the risk profile of the Bitcoin treasury itself. So thinking about like what is the credit profile, what is the volatility, creating these new metrics
Hmm.
that haven't been used before. Like this is a role that no other Bitcoin treasury company has. Like no other Bitcoin treasury company has a risk officer,
That's wild.
and I think it's super necessary because these Bitcoin treasury companies are very similar to like an insurance company because you're managing a balance sheet of assets and you need to manage your liabilities relative to your assets over time and think about the risk profile. You're doing Monte Carlo simulations, probabilistic
Hmm.
simulations, scenario testing, hedging possibilities, communication to the market, like all of these things on top of, managing just general broader enterprise risk management. So thinking through all of those aspects, it's definitely a role that is needed. Um, and like, hopefully build out an actuarial team to help me with like all of the math and the statistics behind the scene. And somebody that can, blast on ChatGPT all the time. Um, and and then obviously staying on top of True North and are building out that network. So I've got a lot of I'm wearing a lot of hats these days, and so thinking about your question here, like getting to the root, the I think this was a fascinating transaction. This will be a case study in like Bitcoin treasury land for like a
Yeah.
decade
For
probably, because
yeah.
it really is a signal of something else that you could do. It's another
Yes.
tool in your toolbox, and I really think this is a win-win for both companies. Like it wouldn't have got done in 4 days if it wasn't a win-win for both companies. So
Hmm.
having a balance sheet that is powerful and these two companies combining to provide a better credit profile for issuing different instruments to the market. That's interesting. One side of the equation, the Bitcoin side, and then the other side is leveraging our board members and our largest shareholder, Vivek Ramaswamy, and his
Hmm.
healthcare and biotech background, uh, polishing up the healthcare side of the business and monetizing it in a different way. One of the ways you can monetize it is like spinning it off. Like you could potentially spin it off, like, you know, polish it clean and spin it off. Or alternatively, like he's well known for the architecture and the construction of Roivant, which created these separate little business verticals underneath the business that provided dividends to the underlying business. So I think there's just so much opportunity there to monetize the healthcare side of the business that I think is like a little bit of a cherry on top that could be really appealing and exciting. So there, I think it all really comes down to like a story. Like what is the story? Like, can we be powerful together? Is there a win-win for both sides of these, both sides of the equation? And I think there will be a lot of those types of opportunities in the future. Stronger companies will prevail, and other companies that maybe are a little less strong can find a more valuable partner. So really, that's what we are. Like we're partners, more valuable
Hmm.
partner for managing the future market environment. So um, the other thing I think is interesting is the ability to do the same thing in private markets. You can do
Hmm.
the same thing in private markets. You can do the same thing with other digital asset treasuries, but you can convince the other digital asset treasuries like, hey, I will only acquire you if you convert 100% of your assets into Bitcoin like
Hmm.
today.
Wow. Yeah.
you know so like
Yeah.
I think there's going to be opportunities like that in the future. If there's any weakness, like imagine imagine if Bitcoin could acquire like, I don't know, fart coin,
Hmm.
just like thinking about cycles
Yeah.
past, and you've
Yep.
got like all of these, you've got the core coins, and then you've got all of these other altcoins that are, or like NFTs. Imagine if Bitcoin could just like acquire a bunch of NFTs and just convert it into Bitcoin. And like that is possibility under a corporate umbrella and a corporate infrastructure. And that's pretty cool.
That is wild. That's an interesting thought. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's
it's like,
wow.
That's not a this week thing, but you know, I don't think that's a this week thing.
Yeah.
It's Friday, so like I really hope it's not a this week thing. But that's a possibility that could happen on the horizon, and especially if you think about if altcoins get crushed in a potential bear market and Bitcoin holds up because it's got better plumbing. There's a really good timing opportunity there, depending on some of these other things. So yeah, I'm super excited about the space. Like, our team is whoop ass, and is like very like hand selected. Every single person on our board is hand selected. Everybody in the company itself all speaks the same language because it's an asset management company. So like, I've talked to the people that sell our ETFs, and we can communicate. We talk about Bitcoin together. It's like, oh yeah, what are we doing? Like, oh, we start shooting shit on like all the perpetual preferred instruments, and we're like all speaking the same language. So it's really unique. It's really cool. Our team behind the scenes is incredible. We got a team of like, I don't know, 30 or 35 people, and a lot of tools that we can leverage at different points in time. So really exciting times. Yeah.
That is so cool. So speaking of that, I wanted to ask you about that. So it's a great segue about just altcoins. So do you see anything with, again, we've kind of touched on this in certain ways of people not understanding, not seeing the forest from the trees, and getting sucked into, whether it's retail, getting sucked into altcoins, altcoin season. And there's these things are happening, and Bitcoin dominance is, breaking support. It's gonna, we're gonna go back the other direction. Again, missing the forest from the trees. You're playing the fiat game versus Bitcoin being a completely separate protocol, right? So what do you see in terms of that? Because I know there are some people that watch our channel, so I get the comments, and they're people in the altcoin space. So I'd love you to touch on just kind of what you're seeing there, and again, the pitch for, hey, these short-term gains might seem great, but here's the real game over here.
What other altcoin has a siphon set up to the fixed income market, the largest pool of capital on the planet?
It's another great example.
Like, there's not one. Like, a trick question. There's not one. Yeah, it's Bitcoin, and I brought this up on our stream last Wednesday. I was like, okay, let's say an ETH treasury company starts to issue perpetual preferred equity. How do you underwrite that? Like, what is the risk profile? Like, okay, then you Google Ethereum and you like watch Vitalik talk, and you're like, wow, okay, I got to underwrite that guy. Like, do I trust that guy? And you start to go like really quickly go like, I don't know how I even like remotely begin to price this thing. And then you look up like Bitcoin, and like this obviously Sailor is going to come up, and then you see like Bitcoin mining, and you learn about the protocol, and you're like, wait, okay, I can underwrite this. Mm-hmm. This is a protocol backed by decentralized computers. I'm like, okay, I can underwrite this much easier than anything with a centralized authority. And Bitcoin's the only one without a centralized authority. Mm-hmm. So if again, what I talked about earlier, like I think if you're going to kick the market wide open, you got to kick down the door of the fixed income market. And like Jesse Myers got this great image, and it shows like fixed income market, real estate market, money market, equity market. And like all of the cryptos are playing around in this like little pool of money, which is like, I don't know, 100 trillion.
Yeah.
And so like Bitcoin's dominating in this like pool of money. And then you get the equity market, and you're like, okay, now you got Bitcoin companies, and you got some Ethereum companies, and some of these other DATs, digital asset treasuries. And you've only got one right now that is connected to the fixed income market. And the fact of the matter is, that's where all the money's at.
Yeah.
And they're also providing a product that provides very similar exposure to like real estate. So you now connected little like monetary siphons to $600 trillion of capital that no other altcoin is connected to. That's the story. This is the biggest story. Like this is it. It's not altcoins. It's not these other protocols. Like, are they going to exist? Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Do they have a place in the world? Sure. Like everybody's going to play around with art and you know, these other DeFi protocols. Like everybody's going to be playing with all sorts of stuff. But the big story is connection to the biggest pools of capital, and that's the mission. That's it. So like, yeah, people can go play with their altcoins, yeah, but like the story, the institutional grade story is Bitcoin.
If you like that clip, then you definitely got to check out this next spicy clip. I think you're really going to like it. Come on, check it out. But if you want the full version, the full interview, then check that out over here. Come on, do it. I'll see you in there.